Now, this thing is a bit personal for me. So, a little bit about my personal background, like from preschool all the way through college, just by Red Lives Matter is crazy. Red Lives Matter. Red Lives Matter, first of all. The Indians. Shout out to the Native Americans. So from preschool all the way through college, I always had the school colors of orange and blue, and I was always a different type of Native American. I think I started as a little warrior, and then I was a Comanche, and then I was an Apache, and then I was a warrior, and then I was an Indian, and then I was fighting Illini when I went to University of Illinois. I have a couple throwbacks for y'all. My high school was called Pontiac Indians. Can we pull up that logo real quick? Shout out to Pontiac. Shout out to my little cornfield town. I can't believe it's my 10-year reunion coming up. Oh my goodness. I'm getting old, child. And if you are also part of 2020 or 2015 class from Pontiac, you're getting old. You're getting old. And I hate to break it to you, but I know your back hurts because mine does too. So, like I said, orange and blue, Pontiac Indians, and I have a couple throwbacks of me just so you'll see little young Xavier, high school me. Yes, orange and blue. You can't see it all here, but like everything in our school was celebrating Native American culture, Native American tribes. The Pontiac, I believe Pontiac was a head chief or Chief Pontiac, everything like that. Also, I think I was a chief at one point. I think also I had a mascot of being a chief, different type of Native American. Shout out to my friend Sam, one homecoming together. Orange and blue, Pontiac. Like I love my roots. I love where I come from. I love all the memories we have of doing our little chants where we would do the scalping motion, which I know there were definitely some left-leaning teachers who always thought that was very concerning. At our football games, we would sit there and do the tomahawk chop as if we were beheading or scalping our competitors. But you know what? It brought unity together. It brings great memories. I'm smiling just looking at those old photos and that old logo. And then I went to the University of Illinois, where my school used to be fighting Illini. Well, they are still fighting Illini. Chief Illini Weck was the big prominent logo, and then eventually it just became this reductive letter I. Now, why are we talking about this personal matter today? It's because in Illinois, there's this new bill. It's HB 1237 that's coming forward, where they are now wanting to ban all Native American mascots in Illinois for grades K through 12. And I remember how this affected me growing up, because this is not a new debate by any means. It's really hitting home for me right now, because I remember how irritated I was in high school, where we used to have different Native American chiefs and logos and everything all over our school, all over our town, all over our fields. Like, it was just a thing. Like, we had Native Americans all over because we were giving tribute to them. Pontiac is named after a Native American chief, and my hometown was on Native American lands, indigenous people land. So this was a way to celebrate them and show respect to them. And instead of being viewed in that way, there were people, mostly white people, to be honest, white people who were pushing forward with not wanting to have Native Americans be the logo anymore. And they were trying to, and it was particularly white woke people who were saying that it was offensive to the Native Americans. And what it first started as is we weren't allowed to just have general Native Americans anymore. We had to cover up every single mural, every single logo, every single thing that had Native American on it, besides the one that I showed you in that picture earlier from my hometown. Every single one ended up being banned. And it was a compromise. We accepted it. We'll just keep this one logo, and that's going to be it. Then when Illinois, I remember when they went to that big letter I, it's like they just didn't even try. They didn't even try to come up with a logo that was cool. They just went straight for the letter I. And I'm really irritated with this ban. It has now passed the House on April 10th with a 71-40 vote. And what this bill will specifically prohibit is the use of Native American names like Redskins, Braves, Chiefs, chieftains, tribe, or Indians. And the imagery, such as feathered headdresses or traditional Native American weapons, especially with feathers, those are all going to be banned. And this is baffling to me. Like, absolutely so baffling. So the schools now would have until July 1st of 2026 to have new mascots, and then they are able to still use uniform and materials until September 1st, 2030 with a transition plan. The few exemptions of this are schools if they can use a they can use a federally recognized tribe's name and imagery with written permission. And the permission has to be renewed every 5 years, which again, weird, bizarre, unnecessary bureaucracy. And this is aiming to eliminate harmful stereotypes, and it's to promote respect for Native American communities. And it is supposed to address the cultural sensitivity and school environment. And the current status of it now is that it still awaits Illinois Senate approval. And all this to say, this cannot happen. Okay, there are very few things that bring kids joy these days. There are very few things that really tie people to their hometowns anymore. Me being someone that's living in this big, crazy world of Los Angeles, I have a lot of nostalgia from my hometown, as I know many of my peers and my old colleagues and alumni had. Now, when I look back and I hear that they're wanting to get rid of Native Americans and all reference to it, it's like, do you not understand how you're destroying so much tradition? Because having these tribal native traditions and mascots and everything, the purpose of that was to really foster a sense of local identity. It is to make sure the memory stays alive of these various groups and these various tribes and these various leaders. It's not to mock them. It's not to make fun of them. It's not to degrade them. It is to put them on a pedestal, if anything. It is to respect them. Like, we really took pride in all things that had to do with Indians. Like, it was such a part of our culture. And for the record, I am about 25% Native American. Oh yes, I'm not only just Chinese, because I'm 2% Chinese. I am also a quarter Native American. I don't know which tribe, because that's a whole long story within itself. But because like my grandfather disowned the tribe, it's a whole thing. But outside of that, even if I was a Native American, I still stand on the principle of this is insane. Okay. The courage and the strength that came with talking about the tribes, the chance that we had, all the history and the legacy that's there. I'm really repulsed. I'm really repulsed that they're trying to get rid of all of this in the state of Illinois. And I looked it up because I was curious. I'm like, I know every time I talk to other Native Americans and people who are predominantly Native American or really well rooted within their identity, they're like, okay, yeah, I get the argument, because it's like, it's a race, it's an ethnic group. Would you like it if other ethnic groups were a mascot? But it's like, there's so many obvious common sense reasons that I shouldn't even have to dive super deeply into about why it's kind of a different comparison. But 90% of Native Americans, when they were polled back in 2004, when this conversation really started happening, is they said that they were not offended with the Redskins name. They actually thought it was pretty cool. They thought that because of the way it was handled with respect, and it was handled with, again, pride and strength. And it was a way to keep their legacy alive. It was a way to keep their visibility alive, because otherwise you're just not going to hear about them. It reminds me of the Aunt Jemima situation. The woman whose face was on the Aunt Jemima bottles, she was so, her family was so disappointed that they took her off. They took her legacy away, and it was all these woke activists, these woke white liberals, if we're being honest, who went and tried to speak on behalf of these different groups. And now you're harming the exact same people that you were trying to protect and you were trying to support. It's like, read the room a bit. But I will say, in fairness, in 2020, UC Berkeley did a study where they said, or they found that 49% of people found it offensive to have Native Americans as a mascot or having different tribal elements as a mascot or a logo. But, this seems to be a lot of woke college kids and a lot of woke people in Berkeley. So I really take that poll with a grain of salt, because kids from Berkeley are offended by everything. I could say that the grass is green and they would think that I was being disrespectful and excluding brown grass. So I really take that with a grain of salt. Overall, my point is, if you are in the state of Illinois or want to support the state of Illinois, please reach out to the local Senate and tell them, and this is not a stance of prayer you, because that's technically a bill. This is me personally. Please, for me, for my nostalgia, for my hometown, for my home state, fight against this, push back against this, call your local Senate your local Senate and let everybody know that we want to keep the mascots. We want to keep the legacy alive of Chief Illini Weck and of Chief Pontiac and of all the great things, the Comanches, the Apaches, all the different people who are represented in this community. This is what has tied the community together for hundreds of years. Let's not end tradition now because a couple woke liberals are trying to speak on behalf of a culture that they know nothing about. And that's all I have to say about that.